I cannot comment without commenting on what we witnessed 2 days ago about our children from Butere High School who, because of a play that was written, some incidences took place that has attracted the attention of many people in the country. My appeal today is that we as a Kenyan society should not incline ourselves into building and developing a hostile society by bringing a culture and plays and putting into arts issues that can plant the seed of violence in our people. We cannot invest in a future generation that will be full of anxiety. We are seeing a tendency in the abuse and the use of social media and all our medias to advance things that cannot be advanced even in developed countries where freedoms of speeches are there. The freedom of speech we have is not without limitation. In the liberation, during the emancipation of the slaves from slave trades in early 1900 and 1800, in 1901, one slave, after the declaration of that freedom, went through the streets of one of the cities in New York, swinging his arm and saying, "Oh, freedom, freedom, freedom." In the process, he knocked the nose of a white man. And of course, you can imagine the kind of altercation that came. And this is the comment he made, that your freedom ends where my nose begins. Freedom ends from where the noses of others are. And let us not inculcate a very hostile society by somehow encouraging our young people that the rule of law is alien to us, and the way of a society that you can say anything, you can demean anybody. And of greater importance is the demeaning of the office of the president, because office of the president is beyond the person occupying. It is a national symbol of unity in the country. It is a sacred office that we must all respect, not because of expediency and the benefit of one person, but it is our own honor as a people. It is a mark of an independent country. We want to appeal to our young people that let us respect our flag, let us respect our constitutional offices, and let us respect our processes. We have problems. We have sometimes excesses here and there as people implement the law, but not at all that should become an excuse to feel that we should demean our own country. There are three things that have sustained civilizations when it is there, and it has been a source of a collapse of any system in the world. Number one is a sound fiscal policy of a nation, which creates a system of raising revenue in order to meet three important things in the running of the nation. One, to meet recurrent expenditure, for development, and for meeting the obligation of debts because of interdependency of nations and institutions in a development of any country. That is number one, and very important. The second thing that sustains a civilization, a people, and a generation is what we call the national bride, where you are proud to be who and what you are as a country. And number three is the moral values. There are issues of do's and don'ts. People who lack moral values, where everything goes, no boundaries. When you say this is wrong, they say we want to know why is it not right if it is favoring me. We cannot open this country to be a colorless country, a country without respect in society. And we must be very, very careful on how we invest in our generation, and I mean future generation. That is one thing that I wanted to appeal, both as a leader, a spiritual leader, and one of the elders in this country, that I'm appealing to our people, that even when we have our own problems, let us not lose track on issues that really matters in sustaining the country. Even the most developed nations of the world, take for example, the ethics of journalism when covering war, where there are people who have been fatally hurt. They blur their cameras, not to show how the person has been cut into pieces, and then you shoot it into, you blur it when you are presenting to the nation. But we in Africa, we are so ruthless that we show it openly without respect for human dignity. I want to appeal that as we go, because majority of us are believers, we are beginning the celebration of Easter coming in a week's time. Let us retrospect and begin to reflect on how we have been managing ourselves so that come next years to come, we are building a nation we are all proud of. The trend we are following and the way we are feeding ourselves in the social media and in our media is encouraging a society that is going to be out of hand in days to come. And finally, I want to address my fellow politicians and leaders in this country, that every one of us must be working towards the center. It is not, this country doesn't belong to one person. It is our country, all of us. And the history indicates that the founding fathers of this country envisioned a nation with a national politics and not balkanization of the people. You will be branded as a leader to be a wicked man or an evil leader if you can go and start a fire in a bush while you are seeing the wind is going to drive that fire to where your children are, or your houses are, or your animals are. Really, you will be a wicked man. You would be very careful not to start anything that can disturb the rest of the country. So I'm appealing all of us that let us not drum a cry of war and incite the people of Kenya as if the world is coming to an end. If you feel you are not satisfied, you don't like a leader, you don't like your MP, your senator, your governor, your MCA, whoever will be subjected in election to scrutiny by the public and an election which is predictable, then do not disturb development for the people currently. Because if we don't do that, Kenyans, is that we are going to discourage investors from coming to this country. We're going to tell them that the nation, in fact, some of my friends visited the other day from one of the countries abroad, and they got shocked to look at Kenya and say it is a paradise. You know, if we make and do bad politics, it can result in results we have never liked in other countries. Siad Barre, for example, the former president of Somalia, Majority of our friends in the West told us he's a terrible and worst leader in Africa. They brought him down. We lost the nation of Somali to groups and warlords. It became difficult to manage it for a period of 40 years. They went to Sudan. They say al-Bashir was not a good leader. They brought him down. The country has broken into pieces today. And these characters who are talking about human rights, civil movements, cannot sustain the country now. They went to Libya, brought down Muammar Gaddafi. The country is no longer what they were told it was going to be, and none of them has the capacity to restore the country. I can name them on and on, but I want to say countries that has been able to move through changes of leaders from one leader since independence to this day. Take example of the Republic of Tanzania, our own country, wonderful country, the great country of Kenya. We've had our own problems, but we keep on changing leaders every 5 years. Look at where we are. We have one of the strongest economies in the region. So I wish to appeal, what we have, let us protect it. And let us lessen political tension in the country. And you cannot put a judgment without investigation. We are a country of a rule of law. It is too early to condemn who is right and who was wrong, because the law enforcement agencies got a right under law to implement the law if it is preempting or protecting. Now, did they do it with the right orders is something that must be subjected to investigation. Number one. Number two, how did it get up to where it did? Who taught these children this thing? Who prepared? When you say the echoes of war in itself is sensational. It's sensational enough to make everyone to say, hi, what is this? So where was everybody when this was prepared? Number three, this is not the first incident I think we are witnessing from the same school. 2013, we had the same problem. And they had to be stopped. And again, so we want to know what happened then, what contributed to this now. So the question of forgiveness comes out of when a verdict has been reached to say you are condemned or you are free. So my appeal is, before, let Kenyans allow the agencies of law, implementation of law, to do investigation. Let them know what happened. We want to know who was responsible, who taught these young people, who is behind it, and why was an outsider from the school participated in arts. If there was an arrangement for that kind that the school invited, it must be availed. Under what reason that contract was executed and what was the intention. But if it is just a play of encouraging young people to be hostile to regimes in government, it is something that we must be aware about. Because this country doesn't belong to one school. It belongs to all of us. And therefore, it's not a question of who is wrong now, but what is the issue? What happened? Because we trust our police, our men in uniform, that they mean well. And up to now, because all of us, we rely on them. You cannot tell us today you can stay in this country without police. We need the police. And we cannot condemn them. They are children of this country. They are parents. They are sisters and brothers of the same children. And if they acted, we must ask ourselves, what is it that motivated? And that requires investigation. Yep.